Tonight, the budget of the massive clean-up of the Port Augusta Power Station site is revealed, and Broken Hill pubs and clubs join forces to stamp out bad-behaving patrons.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Alinta Energy has revealed the cost of remediating the now defunct Port Augusta Power Station site. It comes after increased community pressure towards Alinta and offshoot company Flinders Power for a more thorough clean-up of the dust-riddled facility.
It's the clean-up effort with a hefty price tag. Alinta Energy says remediating the issue-plagued facility will cost between $200 and $300 million.
There's a $100 million difference between $200 and $300 million, so you'd like to think that they'd have their budget a little bit more detailed and precise than a $100 million variance.
Port Augusta's mayor says that throwing figures out of the cost have raised more questions than answers.
What does that include? What is the money to be expended on? Is it just the Port Augusta remediation, or is it all of the former Alinta activities, which we know includes Lee Creek as well?
He says the community is also worried the money won't be enough.
Is there still $200 million to go? Is there not? Is it adequate? Is it enough?
The role of the EPA is being questioned, with claims it's lacking presence during this clean-up.
The community have rightfully so asked this question of the EPA. What are they actually doing to illustrate the P in their name being protection? Because the community of Port Augusta don't feel protected.
A Senate inquiry into the closure of the station likely means Port Augusta will get a Senate hearing in the coming months,
which will really start to look quite deeply into the process that's already taken place and currently taking place in Port Augusta, which I imagine will probably have a few backsides twitching.
Garth Burley, Southern Cross News.
A Corn woman found guilty of murder will have to wait a little longer to learn of her fate. Adriana Tennant ran down and killed 38-year-old Nathan Freer in the town north of Port Augusta in November last year. Today she was due to be sentenced, however the case was adjourned with a number of materials yet to be examined, including a post-mortem report. Tennant will front court again in June. A man has been arrested after allegedly threatening a customer with a knife at a supermarket in Port Augusta last night. Officers were called around 9:30 and after a quick search of the surrounding area, they found the man nearby. The 41-year-old was charged with aggravated assault and faced the Port Augusta Magistrates Court today. Well, Broken Hill licensees are joining forces to clamp down on troublemakers at local pubs and clubs. The group has agreed to implement a new policy that'd see bad-behaving patrons banned from multiple venues.
Behave or be barred.
It could be a short barring period or it could be life.
The new policy from the Barrier Liquor Accord means if a patron is banned for unruly behaviour from one licensed venue, they could face being banned from them all.
We've got to protect our patrons, we've got to protect the visitors, we've got to look after our venues, and we've got to make them a sociable place where people can come to enjoy themselves and feel safe.
Aggressive or disorderly behaviour, vandalism, possessing drugs or any criminal activity are just some of the reasons wrongdoers could be ejected or refused entry. The Accord members say someone facing a ban will appear before a committee.
The panel will then decide on whether or not it's worthy to be able to bar them from every venue. If it does, they will make a decision. It'll be handed over to the police then.
Bans start at 24 hours. In some cases, the committee can block an offender forever.
If they make the decision to attend a venue that's part of the Barrier Liquor Accord where they've been barred, the police role will be to attend.
Refusing to leave a premises could see patrons slapped with a $550 on-the-spot fine, and if it moves to court, they could be facing a $5,000 fee. And the multi-venue barring policy encompasses a lot more than you may think.
It's not just your clubs and your pubs, it's your restaurants, it's your bottle shops, it's your sporting grounds. They can't come to the footy, they can't come to the soccer, they can't come to the tennis grounds because it's a licensed venue, they can't go to the bowling greens.
Patrick Roenke, Southern Cross News.
A Port Lincoln man has told of the terrifying moment his car was stolen by a man wanted over a crime spree across regional South Australia. Keith Barker has since been reunited with his beloved Mercedes, but police are still on the hunt for their man.
It's an ordeal no one hopes to face. But last Monday morning, Port Lincoln resident Keith Barker was minding his own business on the toilet at McDonald's when
I was looking at the keys for some reason and I had my hands down pretty close to the ground and doing my business, and Next thing, this hand shot under the door. I got smacked up a bit in the toilet because as I had him by the arm, he's trying to get away and I'm trying to pull him through the toilet.
While Mr Barker didn't see the thief in McDonald's, he did recognise him in the street earlier that day when doing some shopping at Target.
This guy walking across the road, and I thought, oh, he looks, for just some reason I took two glances at him. He a red beard, red hair, dark glasses, well dressed.
But that wasn't the only time Mr Barker spotted him.
I got to Macca's and the guy's walking across the road from Sparks and Spanners. I thought, shit, here he is again.
Days later, Mr Barker was pleased to have the keys to his green Mercedes returned.
Lucky enough, there wasn't much damage done to it, so I was dead lucky.
Police are still on the hunt for the man who was last seen in Whyalla on Tuesday last week. While there is no information as to whether the man is even still in the state, police are urging the public, if they spot him, to call police immediately. Casey Treloar, Southern Cross News.
After the break, an Indigenous Health Day focusing on promoting eye health gets underway in Port Pirie. That's next. Well, healthy eyes were the focus of this year's Tarpari Wellbeing Day in Port Pirie. The biennial event celebrates Aboriginal culture in the region while promoting the awareness of health services available to Indigenous communities.
A festival of health, community and culture.
It's a really good way to promote Aboriginal health, Aboriginal culture, and a way for the whole community to come together and learn from each other.
But it's also about our well-being and healthy lifestyle and living as well, so that we can promote healthy eating.
This year's theme centres around looking forward, focusing on raising awareness about the causes of eye conditions and encouraging preventative methods.
Looking forward to new beginnings so that as working together as one community, we can actually have an impact on the health outcomes of Aboriginal people.
25% of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people living in the Mid-North have a high rate of chronic diseases alone.
The event today brought the wider community together, embracing the importance of reconciliation and Aboriginal culture in Port Pirie as well.
As a black woman that comes from this community, that's grown up in this community, these kind of events are very important because it's always important for us to take space.
Carvings, through weaving and through art and some of the other ways we can do that, it's just a great way for the community to know about Aboriginal culture.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Councils in the Upper Spencer Gulf are calling on a review of the process to approve large renewable energy projects. While the three councils support the industry, the group says laws regarding planning and approval need to be modernised.
From pumped hydro to wind and to solar, Upper Spencer Gulf councils are certainly keen on renewable energy. In recent years, they've positioned themselves as a hub for renewables, attracting interest from across the world. But they're concerned current planning laws are leaving locals in the dark.
If you look at the current development plan, it talks very vaguely and very briefly about wind farms, but it doesn't talk about any other proposed renewable energy-based projects.
Concerns are being raised after recent issues regarding dust on the road to Port Augusta's solar thermal plant.
See big issues of dust and no dust management plans being put in place or requested to be put in place, or dust suppression methods to be put in place.
Spencer Gulf Cities wants new Planning Minister Stefan Noel to review the laws regarding assessment, approval and compliance. It also wants certain areas in the Flinders Ranges and Clare Valley protected from projects. Mayor Johnson says he wants those in charge of approvals to visit development sites and listen to regional communities.
We're actually getting out of Adelaide, coming out to the regional areas and assessing the development application actually on site and understanding and engaging with those communities.
In a statement, Planning Minister Stefan Noel says new regulations are coming to improve consultation, and he's encouraged the group to contact his office with any concerns. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The Broken Hill Heritage Festival is getting underway in the town's CBD tonight. Massive projectors will light up the iconic facade of the town hall until 11 o'clock every night until Saturday. Organisers say the piece acts as a centrepiece for the Chock-a-Block Festival.
We've got many opportunities for locals and visitors alike to really immerse themselves in the heritage of Broken Hill. There's plenty of tours and behind the scenes in different buildings for everybody to really learn about our history.
One lane of Argent Street will be closed while the event is held. The festival wraps up on May the 4th. Rowan Ramsey says he'll accept the changes to Grey's electoral boundaries, which covers most of the state north of Gawler. He's also confirmed he'll seek another term as its MP, but warns its size will scare off future candidates.
Grey has gradually expanded since 1993 and now covers over 900,000 square kilometres, about the same size as Pakistan. It's only getting bigger, with the AEC proposing the Clare Valley and the Wakefield Council move into it.
South Australia is losing another seat out of the federal parliament, and that is a tragedy, really. It reduces our impact in Canberra.
Mr Ramsey says he'll seek Liberal Party pre-selection for a 5th term, while he remains passionate about the job and representing the region. He says it'll come at a cost.
Basically, everything else has got to give. If you want to be the member for Grey, you need to prioritise the job virtually over everything else in your life.
And on that front, he's concerned Grey's size will make the job attractive to only a certain type of person.
Places some barriers in place for other people at a different stage of their life.
The addition of Clare and Wakefield Council brings in new people as well as new industries, which include the wine industry at Clare and horticulture on the Adelaide Plains.
I will be applying myself to get better working knowledge of those two particular industries.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Still to come tonight, a massive cycling event to begin in memory of a brave boy's battle with a rare disease. That's next. The Broken Hill Historical Society is calling on locals to lend a hand in restoring a historic building. The former mine manager's house in Proprietary Square has seen better days, and the Historical Society is looking to transform it into a museum. It's a big job though, requiring $60,000 alone to restore power to the site. For more information, details are on our Facebook page. A group of dedicated cyclists has begun a 900-kilometre journey across the Eyre Peninsula to raise money for families with seriously ill children. The Cycle for Sam tour is in memory of an Adelaide boy's battle with a rare disease.
Drawing on the strength of a young boy's battle.
He fought really hard with a lot of courage, and yeah, we're really proud of Sam, and he gives us a lot of strength. So when things get tough on the bike, our thoughts go to Sam.
Today is the first day of the 6-day Cycle for Sam tour of the Eyre Peninsula in memory of 4-year-old Sam Roberts, who died from a rare neurological disease. 12 riders, including Sam's parents, began their tour in Port Lincoln this morning and will visit Cummins, Tumby Bay, Elliston, Coffin Bay, Cleve and Cow.
All the people here are friends or family, or people who got to know Sam's story, and it was no trouble at all getting them on board.
Over the past 12 years, the group has raised over $700,000, and this year it hopes to raise funds for a very special holiday house.
We're raising this year is going towards the beach house at Encounter Lakes down near Victor Harbour, and it's going to be purpose-built with all the medical facilities required to take a sick kid on holidays.
And after the group's lead vehicle driver couldn't make the trip at the last minute, they called upon a local to help out.
Really looking forward to taking 60-odd Adelaide people around Eyre Peninsula and showcasing them our beautiful part of the world.
Casey Trelaw, Southern Cross News.
The Broken Hill footy season kicks off tonight with the first round of the Under-18s competition. It'll be followed with the pre-season tournament, the Lightning Cup, on Saturday at Jubilee Oval. All 4 clubs will square off across the day with both women's and men's teams playing. The ladies start at 9 a.m, the men kicking off at midday. Change of pace, time now for Few Watch. Here's Pat.
Well, as was predicted, petrol prices are still high as the first week of school holidays gets underway.
Starting with unleaded, and Port Lincoln is the only place on the board to see a drop in its price. Whyalla is dangerously close to joining Port Augusta on $1.40, and the same can be said for both Port Pirie and Kadina, which have jumped by about a cent. In Broken Hill, it's gone from bad to worse. Prices are on the way up and we're now paying 4 cents more than last week. Adelaide has seen a major increase in its price. The City of Churches is now paying around $1.52 a litre. To diesel now, where we find Port Lincoln jumping by 3 to $1.42, as Whyalla falls by 3 to $1.40. Port Pirie has managed to avoid any major changes, while Kadina has gone up by a cent. Once again, it's a bad time here in the Silver City. A litre of diesel is now fetching around $1.46. Adelaide rounds out the board with a 2 cent spike. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and they do not reflect any one particular outlet. If you happen to find a spot that does sell unleaded or diesel for cheaper, let us know on our Facebook page.
Stay with us after the break, the local weather details with Amy. And it was another fine day around the Spencer Gulf. Amy, will this weather stick around though?
Temperatures are creeping up once again, Fraser, and while some centres may see some light showers, it is shaping up to be a pleasant few days ahead. I'll have all the details next. Most centres experienced warmer temperatures once again today. 30 the top in Port Augusta, 29 in Whyalla and Port Pirie, while maximums in Port Lincoln and Adelaide sat in the mid-20s. Taking a look at the satellite now, and despite cloud over the east and west of the state, it will stay dry. Meanwhile, that high pressure system over South Australia is going to keep skies clear elsewhere. If you're lucky enough to have a few days off over the school holidays and are heading out on the waters tomorrow, there will be northerly winds shifting northeasterly up to 15 knots. Seas will reach 1 metre and the sun will rise at 6:44. It's set to be a fairly warm day around the Spencer Gulf tomorrow, with most districts reaching 30 or above. Port Augusta will reach 33, as will Woodner and Corn. Kadina and Cleve will reach the low 30s. However, Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay will be a few degrees cooler and see temperatures in the mid to high 20s. Meanwhile, Adelaide can expect a fine 29. As we head into the weekend, Port Lincoln can expect a fine Sunday and 26 after possible showers over Friday and Saturday. However, that will only bring a few millimetres of rain. Winds will pick up in Cleve by Sunday. However, it will be a warm day, up to 30 to close out the weekend. Meanwhile, Woodner can expect maximums in the low 30s over the coming days. Mostly sunny days predicted for Whyalla, reaching 31 on Sunday. Similar days ahead in Port Augusta, with temperatures climbing to 34 over the weekend. However, Kadina can expect cooler temperatures with a fine 29 forecasted. Temperatures will stay in the low 30s in Port Pirie, while Clare can expect maximums in the high 20s into Saturday and Sunday. Meanwhile, the sun will be shining in Broken Hill, with tops also heading into the 30s. So it's set to be a sunny few days around the Spencer Gulf, Fraser, as temperatures warm up towards the weekend.
Great time to get outdoors. Thanks, Amy. And that's all from the Southern Cross newsroom for now. Thanks for your company. I'll have some updates a little later on. Until then, though, enjoy your evening. Good night.